Well, it is 5:15. We have a quorum. Mr. Boswell, if you would, please call the roll.
Mr. Weaver, absent. Ms. Patterson, also absent. Mr. Giesler,
Here.
Mr. Neese,
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to the April 4th, 2018 HPRB board meeting. We are 3 members of 5, which constitutes a quorum, meaning we can conduct business. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for March the 7th meeting. That was sent to the board members. Trust you all had an opportunity to review those. If so, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
Make a motion to approve as submitted. I'll second.
Yeah, we're going to be, I can't first.
I know.
It's just you two today.
Yeah.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Giesler,
Aye.
Mr. Neese,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. The first item of business is Mr. Bissett, Mamma Mia Restaurant. If you would, tell us a little bit about the application.
Well, this is the day that everybody's been waiting for. I'm sure you've read the news. And shall we begin? Let's start with the first one. I don't know if you want to look at this picture from my phone. Kind of look at the patio outside briefly so we can see the colors. And Sean's mural.
Okay, there was, and let me try to, I don't want to say simplify things. I broke your application down into 4 parts. You've got the pergola, the gate entrance, which would include the brick wall, the mural, and the applicable signage. Is that correct?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
Again, all of this, yes.
The first was the pergola.
Okay. The pergola, basically, it's going to be 45 feet long along the patio. And pretty much it's gonna look like this from the front. Please disregard the bottom, because that's another issue. That's how it's gonna look. And this is basically a technical drawing to it, looking at it from this side. And of course, it's going to be from, pressure treated wood. And it's going to be also, later on, it will be some kind of plastic tarp, that's the best I can call it for. And it will be not cover all the way, but in case of weather coming in the way while customer are eating in there, then all you have to do is to roll it and just drop it on the other side, and it will be covered for those 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes until the weather is gone.
Okay, so there is no, what you're asking the committee to approve is just the pergola
Yes.
itself.
Yes.
As far as a tarp, anything of that nature, no roofing.
No roofing, no roofing, no. And the pergola is not going to be attached to neither walls, neither our wall or my neighbor's wall. And as you see the technical drawing over there. And that's about it for the pergola, unless you have questions.
The only question I had to do with material. I anticipated wood. but the guidelines say that yard features such as pergola, gazebos, and fountains, normally in the rear or the side, this is the side, and should be of wood construction, pre-19, and have a pre-1945 building design consistent with the architectural design of the building. So
Yes.
my main question was just to verify that it was indeed out of wood.
Yes, it will be out of wood, all of it except, of course, the balls.
Okay. Any questions? The second item was the gate entrance.
The gate, it has been a slight change for the gate. I'm gonna give you now also, we had to call Picasso for this. So instead of a wall, it's going to be a metal gate, then the column and brick, the same thing from this side. And that will be I guess later on will be finished on black to match the face of the building and the windows.
Okay, so you've got basically a wrought iron fence from the building over to the column
Yes,
to the gate.
yes,
And then on the other side of the gate, you're gonna have the column with wrought iron fence
Yes.
over to the adjoining building.
yes, same thing. And the door, of course, in the middle.
What is the,
The metal, like brittle, like iron.
Raw iron.
Raw iron,
Raw
and
diamond.
it's like
is it wood with wrought iron mixed in like you've got
no,
kind of
no, no,
depicted
it's
here?
all iron, all
Okay.
iron. All the same material except different shapes, like, you know. Nothing but iron.
You all have any questions? The
Height
column,
of-
the height, I'm sorry.
So the height of the wrought iron fence,
Well, the height, to be honest, it is not determined yet. However, we will always comply with the limit of y'all's height as stated in the book.
yeah.
So if you say no more than 40 inches, we're not gonna go no more than 40 inches anyway. So if you can enlighten me, what is the, how high you can allow me to go?
Well, technically, fences in the front yard normally do not exceed, according to the guidelines, cannot exceed 42 inches.
Okay.
They're typically, I'm sorry. Well, you've got 42 if, and that's wood pickets, if the opening in between the pickets is actually wider than 50% of the picket width itself. It gets
Complicated.
convoluted.
But you know, this
Yeah.
is, I mean, you know, I guess that's really designed for like the front yard of a house. This is really kind of a courtyard between two buildings. It's kind of a really different,
And I was looking for that, is that,
I don't think there'll be anything in the guidelines that even
That's a little bit
addresses
off.
that. I mean, see, there used to be something, was there a wooden fence that was
Yeah,
all the way
yeah,
across
yeah.
that was so high you couldn't see over it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's a privacy
yeah,
camera.
it was, yeah, it
Yeah.
do. I would, that's very ugly.
I mean, now, yeah, but, so previously, everything was just completely blocked off there, right?
Pretty much, yeah, you see nothing. And it's way up there.
Yeah.
So I think to my understanding, even if you said, hey, you can go 6 feet, I'm not gonna go for 6 feet. Because that's for the look of the gate. So if you guys say, hey, look, you're free, you know, then I'm not probably gonna exceed no more than 50 inches.
well, I mean, Mr. Geisler brought up a good point. I mean, if it's in the rear yard, privacy fence, something of that nature, the limitation is 6 feet. So here, it's not gonna be addressed on point. So what do you want this to be?
Yeah, I think the whole idea here was for people to not have 6-foot tall wooden picket fences in front of their houses down Main
Yeah.
Street of Abbott.
That's it. This is a wrought iron fence. What height are you recommending? Is it 48 inches? I mean, I don't know what the scale is
Yes.
here, you know, as far as the height of your door, anything of this nature. So what are you recommending or requesting?
Well, that's a very difficult question, given the fact that the lady that she's doing that for me, she didn't really put a dimensions out there, and she also said when you go up over there and you meet with them, just see where is there a guideline for the height or not. If there isn't, we're not gonna go 10 feet, of course, because it's gonna be up, but we're gonna go to where it will match the building, the height of the building, not as far as like height, but it's gonna match as far as the look. And so she's gonna, to be honest, I would say no more than 50 inches.
Okay.
So are you thinking probably, I mean, I'm not gonna hold you to this, but are you thinking like probably this column would be maybe about 5 feet tall and this door would be a little bit taller, that, you know, basically a person's, you know, a 6 foot tall person, their height would be somewhere around here, is that?
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
what you're
yeah, I
thinking?
would say, yeah. I would say when you stand in front of that door, you can't really see anything. I mean, sorry to say this way, but your face will be right in front of that M that is drawn there.
Yeah, so I mean, we can specify, you know, a wrought iron fence not to exceed. If you're requesting 50 inches, that probably is about the right scale for what she's drawn.
Could I ask a question that I think will come up? Is that, are you
Yeah,
going to?
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to them.
That's all. Are you going to be locking the gate with customers out there?
Not locking, but it's closed.
Will you be serving alcohol? I'm not sure.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
That's not a problem then.
No. Yeah.
Clarify that.
I know where you're going, but no.
Okay. It has to lock. if you
No.
do.
There's no hazardous after the meal.
Thank you.
So are you requesting 50 inches then?
Yes.
Okay.
Maximum 50 inches.
What's 50 inches? I'm sorry, I know
Well,
it's kind of
4
a
feet, 2 inches.
question, but
We might
all my
want to
life I
say
go
not
by
to exceed
with metric.
60 inches, because I'm
60,
thinking
yeah.
probably 50 inches on that.
You're
would
right.
be- I mean, I don't know what they'll end up doing, but you wouldn't want it to be
Too
too
short.
short.
How do you just go with the guidelines, which is the
62,
It goes to
72,
6.
72 inches.
The privacy fencing is 6 feet.
So 6.
In that this is
7.
wrought iron. I mean, we can, again, it's not on point, so with the consent of the committee, you know, we can approve
The 6 feet.
the 6 feet.
That's what I was gonna ask in a second. I was gonna say, let's approve, I mean, if you can approve it for 6 feet, and then I'm within that length or that height, then I'm sure I'm gonna be below it anyway.
Okay.
But in case she's changed her mind and said, you know what, 50 inches, that's a little, let's go for 55. Then that way you won't hold me to that 50 as a number.
Okay. Is that?
I think.
So we're clear that it will be no greater than 6 feet tall.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the gate,
The metal.
the metal, right?
Okay, your column is made of, this
Brick.
shows brick.
Brick, yes.
Okay.
Brick and the light above it, light, whatever it is, fixture.
Your lighting will be wrought iron as well?
No, the light will be a regular light. They're bought from somewhere and just installed in there.
What color is the wrought iron gonna be? Black?
Black, yeah.
So the light would probably go, would you want black, maybe, would you?
Yeah, yeah.
Black.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I think we probably have to see the light that you're gonna put up before we.
Problem.
I just want to make sure I'm trying to capture
Okay.
everything that we're doing.
I think that's a good start of an example, don't you, Mr. Geisler, the old colonial type lantern-like light. That's a good example that was drawn for the light.
Yes, yes, yes. It matches the column and the,
Is there
I hope
someone
we can
that's going
find
to
it.
fabricate the wrought iron for you, or is this, you're buying this already made, or?
no, somebody's gonna make it. Probably, I'm not really sure. Could be Mr. Walter, Keller Walter. And I'm sure you're familiar with it, most of y'all. Not 100% though.
Walter does good work.
Yes, he does.
Okay. The fencing's wrought iron, not to exceed 6 feet, black. Lighting, we need to take a look at in order to approve. The column is a brick column. Do you have any, is that a 12 by 12?
The brick,
Yes, sir.
The size of the column, do you know how wide it's going to be?
what's the size of one brick and a half?
Bricks are what, 6 inches?
I think they're 6
Right.
inches, they're 9 inches.
Brick and a half would be around 12 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna be around like brick and a half, I think, yeah.
Is the brick gonna match the brick of the, well, let's see,
Yes, I know, yeah, I know what you
the
want.
building on the left?
Yep.
Is it red?
No, both of them, they're gonna be white. So we're gonna do the brick and then paint it white to match the building.
Okay.
Let me take a look at something real quickly. I thought I remembered a provision to where it's really not, it's frowned upon for the brick to be painted.
Yeah, I believe there is something to that effect.
Brick should not be coated with silicone-based water sealants.
Is your building and the old hotel, are they both painted brick? Does it, this wall's going to go over to the mercantile building, is that right?
Yeah,
And is it painted
This
brick?
is, this is new construction.
painted brick,
Yeah.
theirs no, ours yes.
Oh, theirs is not painted,
No,
it's just,
No.
regular.
yours is.
Mine is,
Is yours stuccoed or is it painted brick?
no, painted white.
But what's painted, is there stucco over the,
No, it's like a regular outdoor paint.
it is,
Paint.
It's stucco, the material is stucco instead of brick.
Are you talking about the side of the building?
Yes,
The other side of the building,
yes, the exterior,
from the road?
yes.
You're gonna be more specific. From the other side of the road,
Yes.
that's stucco. And the front of the building is paint, it's brick painted?
Oh, the front of the building is
Yes,
painted brick?
yes.
Yeah, I mean, any brick that is not painted is encouraged not to paint. But I can't put my hands on that one provision right now, so.
I mean, what we're struggling with is it's not encouraged to paint brick.
Yes.
But there are places in the historic district where that has happened, and if that's already occurred, then you can repaint it. So we probably, I mean, I don't know when, whatever happened in the history of your building, but if someone came to us and it was just brick and wanted to paint it, and it had never been painted, we wouldn't let them paint it.
Oh, okay.
So now you're matching, you're doing new construction and wanting it to match it, but it's matching something that we wouldn't have wanted in the first place.
It's already done.
So we're, yeah, so we're trying to figure out what to do about it.
Yes, yes, I understand.
It may be the situation that we have to take a look at that, instead of making a quick decision, do research, so that all of us are on the, lack of a better term, the same page.
Yeah, it's 24F. Previously unpainted brick should not be painted unless the brick and mortar are extremely mismatched as a result of earlier repairs or patching. However, brick which has been sandblasted or is otherwise in poor condition may be painted to provide a sealing coat.
I would think that might fall under mismatching, but
Yeah.
I would like to get some more information as well, because I was reading the same thing to the chairman here, and
Well, and my only reservation about that is that's existing versus new.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand why he would want the wall of this courtyard to match his building, to tie it
Right.
together. So,
If you don't mind, Mr. Bissett, will let us basically take that under consideration
Okay.
and then do some research, and then we'll get back with you on it. The brick column is no problem, it's just whether or not the brick is maintained its original color, which actually would probably match the adjoining building, or if painting it would be allowed. And that's what we're struggling with right now, so we just need to research
Okay,
that.
okay.
do you have your heart set on painting it? Is that something you really want to do, or does it not matter to you? Or,
Well,
I mean,
look-
yeah, once you paint it, you have to go back and paint it, it flakes off, it ends up not looking good, especially white paint. I mean, I don't know, I mean, I understand why you want it to look like the rest of the building, but,
That's the only reason,
okay.
to match the building. Now, you know, you can always, I don't know, you wear any color you want going out of your house,
Well, I mean,
but there is preferred certain color with your, to match things together, so it won't be awkward.
Right.
Because if you put brick, same color as the mercantile building, it will look like the pergola is theirs,
Yes.
and the whole thing is theirs.
Gotcha.
So I would rather to have the color white matching the building. Now, if it's that something that you guys cannot decide on it right now, I'd rather you do, but if you don't and you can't, then as long as it's not gonna delay the construction, I'm fine with it. I mean, later on down the road, I don't know, 15 days from now, 3 weeks from now, you come back to me and said, yeah, go ahead and paint it, that's fine with me. That's good.
Okay.
I can do that.
Okay. The gate itself is a wrought iron gate as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The mural,
Okay.
what do you have in mind there?
The-
Because again, there's, relative to the guidelines, and please understand, we don't mean to be problematic or anything of this nature. And we want to grant everyone's request, you know, if it fits within the guidelines. That's our sole purpose, is just to try to, you know, enforce whatever the guidelines say. If it's in compliance with the guidelines, that's great. The mural is another provision that I didn't see earmarked in the guidelines. Can this be seen? Can the mural be seen from the street?
Yes, with a fence like that, it will.
It's gonna be on the back half of your wall?
Yes.
The picture you just showed us. Are you
Yes.
painting over
Do you have a
Sean's?
picture of the even the newspaper?
I mean, I went back and forth, is that art?
Mm-hmm.
If it's art, is it within the purview of the committee? Or is it protected under?
You can pass it down. Yeah. His intent is to go all the way right where this paisley looking color, sand
Yeah.
color, whatever it is there.
Well, I can't put on the projector, can I?
No, I can't. It's not on my phone.
I mean, my thoughts on it are is that I don't think we're gonna find a lot of guidance on this. There's already, half of the wall is already a mural. I don't really see much harm in matching the remaining wall to it. I mean, I would have real concerns if it was a mural on the exterior of a building. But back in this courtyard where half the wall is already painted, I don't have a lot of concern about that. I mean, I think by matching it up's a good idea.
Is the old Brandywine Antiques building, is that part of our district that
No.
covers that section?
I don't think that's in the district.
Okay.
Across from the post office, the mural.
Oh, the mural that the town did? That the
Mhm.
town did.
That's not in the, I don't believe that's in the historic district.
It's not.
Now, if you allow me to say something, please,
Sure.
adding to what the Mr.
Geisler.
Giesler, thank you, said, you know, as he said, this is something inside, pretty much. You will probably be visible, I would say 50% from the street. So it is not going to change anything from the look of the area as you're driving by or as you're walking by. Now, number two that I want to bring up here is that this mural, now I'm talking within your decision that you have, that book tells you you can think and you can make your decision on your own. I'm not talking about the guideline. I'm talking about y'all as people who you're going to decide. That mural in there, it is very, very precious to not the person who did it, Sean, but to a lots of customers that they come to the store and they've seen it in the newspaper, and there is a lots of people, as you know, you guys came to this town before I even probably born, and people love the story, love the Sean's work. So, and now it's out there. Now everybody in the newspaper read it and looked at it and loved it. Some people came in and took pictures next to it. To my understanding, if you ask me, I really don't care about the mural because it's not my thing. But what I care about is those people, my customers, the people who they're gonna come and sit under that pergola. I want them to feel a little bit of those memories in the starving artist. Here I am, here, Sean, signature, mural. They'll be talking about it. They'll be even talking about the history of that place. They will be talking about the great time that they had before in that place. And I wanted to resurrect that for them to entertain them, because they are my customers. So I really strongly, not recommend, but ask him if we can. First of all, this wall, I am not really 100% sure that we're gonna extend the mural to it. because Miss Kathy, the person who's helping me for the decoration here, she said it's very, very low percentage that we're gonna extend it to this wall. What I need is I wanna extend it to the other wall, which is a wall about 8 feet. And it's going to be behind the couple people or 3 people that they're gonna, live music at night. So to do that, you're gonna give what I wanted to give also to the people out there. They're liking this mirror. So that's it.
Is that, you mean the wall on the Mercantile building?
No, this wall,
Oh, the back. Okay, I got
the
you.
back wall,
gotcha.
the back wall over there. It's gonna be a stage in there to where they, play some music, whatever, jazz or whatever. So it will be kind of blunt, a wall behind them. It has another color, and the mural is over here. So I wanted it to continue with Sean, and he's gonna just continue there and just do some retouches here. He's gonna finish that 2x2. It used to be air conditioning here, over there. So he's just gonna finish that and sign it from the back. That's all. We're not gonna extend it to the whole building.
Do we need to specify a height, not to exceed? What's the back wall?
That back wall is 6.5.
Well, I mean, you're just, it's good. It's a good exercise because a lot of the questions are somewhat cases of first impression, so to speak. Your front wall, and not wall, excuse me, your fencing, the wrought iron is, shall not exceed 6 feet.
Okay.
Is there any problem in the back mural not exceeding 6 feet? Does that tie in with what you've got right now, or as far as the height?
Oh yeah, I'm good with it now. Excuse me, please, for 1 second. I know I'm not really good in construction things, but that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Is it 9?
9 cinder blocks. So
Don't exceed
Yeah.
the front
Help
fence
me.
height.
Vertical?
no, like on top of each other.
72 inches total.
72 inches, and that will be 6 feet.
Yeah,
That's
what
it.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Then the mural not to exceed 6. Is that-
Is the mural gonna be the same height on the back as it is the side wall?
Yeah,
Go match.
Okay.
See it, you're right. Because of
the back wall is 6 feet. We just, we just all did that.
Well, we'll just make it, the mural that you're gonna be adding along the back wall is not to exceed the height of the existing mural.
You won't. You won't.
So when they go to lay it out, it may be a little taller
taller.
because of the gate.
Okay. Your last issue is the front issue.
Huh.
The last is your signage.
Oh, yeah.
Is the mural what exists sign?
Is there a picture of the mural?
It's all good. Huh?
Picture of
The
For
picture
the mural.
is along the back.
It's the same thing, oh,
It's the same.
I was just wondering if it was the sample of it.
Okay. Very, very simple. As big as this letter, it's going to be in the front of the building. Mamma mia. That's it.
I think those are
Also-
channel letters, aren't they?
So it's gonna be Mamma mia, just letters. And this, from inside, it screws into the wall from here, here, and here. Thank you.
Those are channel letters, I think. I believe that's correct, guys.
Backlit.
Hmm?
Not the same I anticipated.
that's how we light them. And historic is spot or lit lighting for signs, recommended. But they should not be backlit or internally lit.
Which is exactly what that is.
What is it?
It says our guidelines are they should not be backlit or internally lit. Inside,
They're not.
they're not.
No.
You're just gonna have those letters on the front of the building.
Yes, and then a light will shine on it.
Okay, well, that would be up.
And
Which is-
what's they're
What's
made
the-
out of?
What's the size?
Those are, looks like plastic. Look, can we see that?
Yeah, of course. And
That looks like PVC type material.
And is it, can you, what's gonna be the size again? The size of the
The
lettering?
letters are this
That's
size
it.
right here.
that's it, right there.
That's the size.
All the letters, Mama
I
Mia.
specific,
This-
specific, yeah.
this size
Yeah, it's
all the way
awkward. I
across.
brought a G. I don't know why. I
It's
did
fine.
that. That's what came. That's what I found in front of me. so. I remember last time you told me that no light in letter and no light inside. So you said it is okay to shine light on the sign, I believe.
I'm not sure of that material. I'm looking in the guidelines, you all correct me,
No, it doesn't.
whether or not that material is even approved.
No.
It's like a three-dimensional sign is what that is. And it's signs that are vintage 1945 or earlier should be preserved, the metal and neon, but it's not saying anything about new signage being like that.
Each letter be considered its own sign.
Yeah, I mean, what other signs do you have on the building? I mean, this is, again, somewhat of a case of first impression. You can make an argument that each letter is its own sign. And as such, you're only supposed to have no more than 2 signs per building.
Does the sign, the 2 square,
No,
2 square
with
feet
restaurants.
doesn't apply to restaurants?
No, size restrictions do not apply to hotels, theaters, or restaurants or churches. You know, the 2x2.
Yeah.
And typically, new signs shall be fabricated out of traditional materials such as wood or polymer, which closely replicates wood.
So the size is not a problem, but what is a problem is what it's made out of.
And it says it should be freestanding or affixed to the face of the building or otherwise placed at traditional sign locations. Right now, you've got an awning there, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then your sign is on the awning. And you had like a metal sign up above that before. I'm trying to help you with your business. I know it's your customer's first impression of your business.
Where's the signage going?
Above the awning. Above the awning, about 3 feet.
See, our guidelines say new signs should be fabricated to professional standards out of traditional materials such as wood or polymer which closely replicates wood with copper or bronze or other appropriate letters. So, I mean, you know, what we're taxed with is keeping things historic looking in the historic district, traditional looking signs. And so these letters don't in any way look traditional. So that's kind of what I mean, you're exempt from the size requirement because you're a restaurant. So, you know, you don't have to keep your sign to, what's it, 2 square
2 by 2.
feet? 2 by
4 square
2.
feet.
Yeah.
So this would be quite a lot larger than what the sign we usually approve, but that's not a problem. But then the materials are quite different than what you would normally see in the historic district.
And having more than one, I think, you know, like Jeff and I were talking a minute ago, could be considered more than one sign. So if you had multiple lettering that big across the whole thing, I think it would run into that.
What's your problem with the sign that you have now? What is it?
It's flat and the sun, when it hits it, you don't really see a whole lot and.
Do you have a picture of it?
No, to be honest. I mean.
Do you have your door lettered on the door, like in vinyl lettering?
No, no.
Is the awning lettered? Is that,
Mhm.
It
the awning
is.
is lettered?
Mhm.
And what does it say?
It's got a
Longview?
logo on it.
Yes.
and it
Yeah.
says-
Logo.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, just to be, just to stick with the guidelines, there's less, not the style, but the material that's made out of, is not in compliance with the guidelines.
So what material?
Could you do raised letters on this sign? Like a sign similar to this with raised letters that stick out that are actually put on the sign instead of just painting letters? I mean, that's traditionally what we have, is we have, you know, wooden letters or letters that are made out of something that are three-dimensional that are affixed to wooden signs, and they could be a different color. To where you would actually have not huge big letters like this on your building, but, you know, letters, raised letters like this on your sign that actually are three-dimensional
Like physically three-dimensional or graphically?
physically.
Physically.
Is-
Yeah, they cut it out of like some of the polymers.
Oh, the
polymer
reason-
signs that we've got.
The reason I chose this, so it will be visible from far away. Because when you are around the Highland Bank, coming towards my building, now let's say, I don't know what you're thinking, but I would like for someone to be, when you get closer to the post office around the Highland, or closer to the Mercantile going into the post office, I want to be able them to see the whole name from far away. Right now, it's not really visible.
Well, and we understand that. The only aspect is
The
that
material.
material is not approved.
So what is the material that it's approved?
I'm trying to find an example here to show you.
Mr. Giesler, is this what you're looking for?
Yeah, but there's actually even letters that are like,
We can provide that to you
Uh-huh.
and then have you take a look at it and work with staff.
here you go.
Um,
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like this one, no?
But see, these are actual
Gotcha.
letters that are affixed onto the sign. They're wooden letters that are painted, and they actually someone fabricates them, and then you'd put them on. You'd put adhesive or screws, put them on the sign. They're three-dimensional.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that too.
That's what I was showing
Oh,
you.
I'm not difficult. As long as you see it from far away, that's my goal. Actually, that's what I was gonna tell you now. What if I find somebody that makes me this
Those are-
letter in
It's
wood?
just a different letter.
Yeah, I think that'd be
And
fine.
it's
So-
also
So did you fix
flatter.
it?
They're
It has
also
sign like
channel
that.
But it's gonna have to
letters,
fit
so
on that
they've got
sign, or
different
we'll have to
letter
approve a
styles.
new sign.
Let me show you.
Yeah, so those letters, you come and stick them on that
Right.
board, not on the wall.
No, on your sign that's there. You've already got a sign that's there.
Yes.
You could just paint it whatever color you want and then stick your letters on it.
Let's say I'm gonna open the business tomorrow, and there's no sign right now on there. Can I get these wooden letters, just like you showed me, on the wall?
What he's trying to get you to is that since you are a commercial building and the 2x2 doesn't really apply to you, he's trying to get you to where you can sit all of your lettering together on
panel.
one piece, and which would be one sign.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, that's
So we're trying to make it work with what we have in the guidelines. As you being a commercial restaurant, we're wanting to try to get you what you want, but actually affix it to one solid piece that would keep you having one sign with all the lettering attached to
Okay.
it.
You could do that with your existing sign and just adhere
Those are
the letters to
probably
your existing
acrylic
sign. You could
letters.
paint it a
Yeah.
different color, you could paint it white
This is what.
and add different color lettering
That's back.
Mamma Mia in a different color
This
to
is
make
what
it
you're
pop.
looking at without all the
Okay.
wires.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Mr. Geisler, are you, I think those are acrylic letters on catbirds.
I think they're, what does this call for here?
More than likely.
Polymer which closely replicates wood is what I think they are.
Right.
I think they're, looks like wood when they're painted.
And they come in different colors.
Yeah, we just, I mean, I remember she just painted those. But I guess you can get them in whatever color you want. Did you have a particular color you wanted?
Oh, the letters?
Uh-huh. I mean, do you want them to, were you going with something like that color? Or were you, I mean, that's orange, what were you?
What colors are you wanting to do?
That's a brick building, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
brick.
white brick
White
building.
brick.
Yeah, so
We
either
use-
green or red.
So you're probably gonna paint your sign, the sign that's there, one color, and then you're probably gonna want your letters to be another color so they
Different color.
stick out.
Yeah, so it can stick out, yeah. If the sign painted green, the letter has to be red.
Yes.
If the sign is red, it's be green.
Right, probably red letters on a green background would stick out the best, I would think.
Yes, yes.
Still, we're gonna need a picture, a sample of something of the actual letter itself, prior to approval. What we need is a sample of the letter that you're gonna be putting up, made out of wood or polymer. And then on the background, you can get that to us. I mean, just like we've told you before, and we tell everybody, we're more than willing to hold a special meeting, in between our regularly scheduled meetings to help folks out and what have you, but not gonna deviate from what this says. So if you'll work with a sign company, get a sample of the letter, Ms. Patterson will probably help you out, put you in the right direction, then come back to staff will notify us, and then we'll act accordingly. But that letter, or what you have this evening is not acceptable.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking of the special meeting, now the last time we were gonna do that, is it because it took me too long and got closer to the regular meeting? Is that what it is?
Yes.
All right, all
Yeah,
right. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure, that's all.
Yes, sir.
So this time I have to hurry.
Okay, so let me summarize. The pergola is 45 feet in length of treated wood. Your is wrought iron not to exceed 6 feet, black. Your lighting that is atop your column, which the column is a brick column. The paint is to be determined. The column is 1.5 bricks, roughly 12 inches. The lighting you'll bring back to us. The gate is a wrought iron. The mural is okay to extend on the remaining wall. The height is not to exceed the existing height of the mural. And your signage that you've brought here as an example will be denied. Did I cover everything?
Yes.
Okay. With that said, I'll entertain.
Pretty much.
I'm sorry?
I said pretty much. I'm sure there's other things, but well,
Okay.
another month.
With
This
that-
is what's most important right now.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve pergola, the wrought iron fencing not to exceed 6 feet in height, black. The lighting is to come back to us. The column is brick. The paint is to be determined. We'll be back in touch with you as to whether or not it's acceptable to paint or must remain brick color. The gate is a wrought iron gate, and the mural is okay to extend on the back wall not to exceed the existing height of the mural.
I make a motion to approve as summarized, Mr. Johnson.
And I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Patterson,
I,
Mr. Neese, Mr. Geisler,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next item, Mr. Stanley, Mr. and Mrs. Watson. For the benefit of the committee, whenever they walked in, I told them we were glad that we didn't scare them off.
It'll take more than that.
Okay.
Good.
We wasn't for sure exactly when you said samples. We brought the big brick pavers, we brought the
Good.
big gravel, and we
Good.
also
You guys are
brought,
ready.
Okay.
the shingles.
This is one of the small ones. There'll be 3 different size ones.
Wait, see, you're over. I don't think you want these up there.
It's 3
You
tab
said we had to bring 3 tab
You
shingles.
can lay it right
Okay,
there.
we got it.
That's kind of what I thought.
Just hand them to Mr. G.
Okay, I wasn't for sure who asked for them, so I didn't know who to give them to.
Basically, 4 different things was what I kind of jotted down. One,
It was just pretty much what we tabled the last time.
the paint, exterior white. I think you mentioned Sherwin-Williams.
Yep, and I have a sample.
Okay, you're one step ahead.
Mhm. That is exterior, I'm not sure if it's on there or not, but they said they could do exterior for that.
And the building itself is white right now, so
Yes.
really it's just repainting. That's the 706. Sometimes I have to go like this.
Mr. Boston.
You're getting on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Windows and doors.
The windows and doors,
Yes, ma'am.
I spoke with Joel Hart. He has agreed to do that. He actually came out and looked at them, but he hasn't really done anything. He said he would come back out at a later time. So, but he said that wouldn't be a problem to do both.
Okay, and just to be clear, we're talking about repairing
Repairing. Mhm.
what you have there.
He said on some of them, where they were in such bad shape, he would have to see exactly what he needed to do, but of course it's gonna be wood. What he can repair, he will repair, but he's not sure on some of them, and he won't know, like I said, until he looks at them, if he might have to, I guess, build some out of wood or something. He's not for sure what's gonna break or what's gonna be able to stand, but they will be wood, they'll be 3/1, just like that.
Okay.
That's what we needed, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And that's the same thing on the, I think it's the rear door.
The rear door, yes. He said that he could build that for me. And I'm not for sure what other door. We were there this morning about 9 o'clock, so other things have kind of happened to the building since the last time we were here, so.
Refresh my memory. I'm old. Your front door and your back door, are those original?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Well, I know the
Front door.
The front door is, and the back door, one of the back doors, because you know, if you go to a different view, I don't know if you still have all those
I
other,
can try to pull it up, yeah.
they had several different doors
Yes, ma'am.
on the back of it. But,
But
the
he's
back
just-
door is gonna look like the front door. He's gonna build it. I can't remember if it was there this morning or if it had been
I'm sorry about
damaged, because some of our other doors on the side has big animal doors cut out of them now. So then there's another expense to a door. So, and we have several windows. If you've gone down the street lately, you'll see. They're not,
Plywood and
they're
plexiglass.
plywood and, they're plexiglass and they're broken out. Mhm. Yep.
All right. Anyway. Landscaping. Yeah, I basically had a couple different things, sidewalks and parking areas, and I think
Okay.
you've,
The landscaping, he was going back there to look at the doors, but if that is an issue. This is my landscaping design, and, I think you all were, should be familiar, I think, with Nathan Brown. Does that ring a bell? He's the one that actually designed that, and Justin Adams, the AAA lawn service. You all don't have a copy of that. I have some, you wanna look at this closer? That will tell, I don't know if the shrubs matter, because I know at the last meeting I sent, like evergreens. And this right here is going to be, and I only have one copy, so sorry about that. It just says the kind of shrubs, it says the kind of pavers, and it also has the, pebbles, like that.
Pea gravel.
This is the pea gravels, yeah.
Mhm.
And then this right here, I only brought one in, I have 3 others, they come in 3 different sizes. It's gonna go in the parking area. So, you know where the parking area is, like if you look on the other side of,
On the right-hand side?
the white, on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
you know, that's parking down through there. You said that I had to hide the parking from Valley Street, so that'll have shrubs down through there. And then that whole parking area is gonna be brick pavers. And it will be large enough to park 7 vehicles. And then the front of that, I want to put sod, because it's just terrible right now. So I would love to put sod there, and then of course our shrubs, and I want to do, I don't know if it's in your book or not, but pop-up sprinklers just in the front yard there, just to keep the grass pretty and stuff. And it's just the pop-up, and actually I don't have it on my estimate and stuff because he forgot to do that. But it's just the little black ones that'll just die and then just go right back in the ground. Just pop up enough to keep everything watered and go down.
Just something to freeze in the wintertime.
Well, he's gonna be the one taking care of it, so.
I don't think we can approve that.
Hopefully we won't water it in the wintertime.
That's it.
Hopefully. And then on the sides, which you can see, I guess on the drawing on the left, we've actually decided to do like a brick paver. I think it's brick pavers. You would have to look at that to the side entrance, just so they have their own side entrance. And then the ground lighting, which I think you all said that was okay the last time.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else that's on there?
I mean, you all, correct me if I'm wrong, what the guidelines really are only addressed, so to speak, would be, you know, the pea gravel for the sidewalks and the pavers, the utilization of either one of those for the sidewalks and or the parking area. As far as the landscaping, you've got some provisions relative to Plum Alley, but
That would be where the pea gravel would be, but it would be
Yeah.
secured.
yeah, the only, I don't want to say the only time we would take a look at landscaping is basically whenever it allows for screening. So,
And the only other thing, I guess, since you were talking about screening, we discussed like something around the trash bins to contain those, and I guess that would just be wood. Would that be okay? Or it would either be wood painted white, the same as the house.
yep.
And then the back deck, I don't have a drawing of the back deck because I'm not for sure exactly what I'm gonna do, but it'll probably kind of be just a little covered porch. And it would probably also be painted white.
Is that something you could bring back later? I mean, you kind of have to see things like that to approve them.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't really decided
Yeah.
because it's gonna be too large when we looked at it this morning to do one large, because we kind of want the back of it there to be a common area
Right.
and have it landscaped as well. Yeah, I was gonna ask. Can you go back to that first picture of the house,
I sure
please?
can.
Yeah, oh, phew. That's ugly. Okay, wait just a second. Right there, that is between us and Highlands Union. That is where we want to put the
HVAC units?
Yes, if that's okay, because that should hide everything once we clean all of that out.
I
You're on
think
the
that's-
left, right?
Excuse me?
You're on the left.
Yes.
Yes,
Correct.
and then that's the fence between us and, I guess it's Highland Unions. But it should be enough space all the way up through there to fit those 7 in, or 6.
Yeah, if you could just put a boxwood on the street side or something of that nature.
You shouldn't be
like
able
we
to
could-
see it from the street side, because
It's
if you
below.
go to the street side,
It's
that is
actually-
going to be a
the grade
patio
falls
for that
away.
second
Yeah.
apartment.
Yeah.
It's way below, it's.
Yeah, you can't see it
Okay.
from the street.
The back area, you're gonna bring back to us as to what you wanna do once you.
Well, the
decide.
back area, like right there, yeah, I can, bring back what we're gonna do as far as the covered porch and stuff.
I think I have a picture of it, it's just a matter of finding it.
Well, that's okay. We are, like right there where that door was, like to the left, do like a little retaining wall, and I think you in maybe that design that I gave you. It's like right up here. It would be like right here. Because it's like steps that goes down through there, so we would do like a little retaining wall. Of course, it will be the brick papers and stuff.
Sure. Back.
Yeah, all of that'll come down, and all of that will either be, like I said, wood or white, probably white. But if you go to the front of the house,
Well, let me, if you don't mind me asking,
okay,
what are you asking other than the door, with Mr. Hart repairing that?
now, he will be repairing that door if it's still there, because at one time, it was like the front door, but some of the glass was broken and it had cardboard or something. But I can't remember if that door's there.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I'm just trying to understand what you want us to take action on. You've got your windows and your doors.
Right.
The back porch area, I think.
I'll bring back to you.
Yes, ma'am. And again, I mean, don't want to make a habit, but if it's something that you've got a contractor on site that has to start ASAP, and, you know, please work with staff, they'll communicate with us, and then, you know, hopefully we get together
Okay.
to act.
That'll be a little while,
Our purpose is not to hold anybody up,
Yeah.
but the only thing you're asking this evening has to do with the rear door. Is that right?
I was just telling you, when you asked me about which doors to replace, I will be replacing that door if it isn't there. And it'll match the front door.
Okay.
That was the only question. Now, like the other 3 doors, the other 2 that's beside of it, do I have to do wood doors as well to match that one? Like that one, and then it's one to the right? And then it's one kind of to the left down underneath that.
I guess all those doors are not original doors, are
Not hardly.
So but you
I'm
don't
just
have-
wondering
you
if
don't
I
have-
need to go to that expense of getting a wood
Wood door.
door made like the front door.
Where the original door design is unknown, doors should be replaced with plain wood doors and single light glass area design. Solid panel doors, decorative doors, generally, they say are not acceptable on storefronts, but new doors should generally be constructed of wood and glass.
Okay.
So, just so I get everything down,
I just have another question, if you'll go back to that front, the front.
The front,
Mm-hmm.
if I can find it.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. That's the side.
Just so beautiful, you just want to look at all of them.
There we go.
Okay, well, you can kind of see it in that one, but it's a sidewalk that comes down that meets the sidewalk. Can I do brick pavers from the house to meet up to that sidewalk?
You mean it would be like this?
It'll all match. I just didn't know if I could cover up that cement.
I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just brought samples of it, so.
I can read you the provision, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to find a better picture of it.
Brick pavers, or pavers that replicate brick, are appropriate, so.
So it would be okay to go down through there and meet up?
And the last item I've got is the roofing.
Yes, and you all said at the last meeting, more than likely, the 3 tap shingles, I guess.
What was on
There's 3 tabs.
It's 3 tap shingles.
Yes, that's fine.
it? Repair, replace.
Okay.
We're wanting
And
to do
it-
something nicer, but
What,
Yeah, because like the houses across the street have shutters and nice metal roofs and ours is just gonna look kind of blah and kind of,
Oh, you mean
I
you
might
want
just
you
leave
wanna
it
do a
alone.
metal roof?
Are you wanting to do a standing seam roof?
we were just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Sure.
sure.
I mean, there's several different
no, I
down,
mean, we can,
several.
Yeah.
That's
the
fine with
guidelines
us.
permit a standing seam roof. If you wanted to go back with the shingles, and the shingles are what's there, that's permissible. If you want to go to a standing seam roof, then, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I have another question. Highlands Union has architect shingles, and they're right beside of me. Is that house different than this one, or?
One right to the left of you if you're looking at that.
If you're on the street looking at your house.
Yeah, the old Bundy house. That one, I think, had that on it to begin with.
Architect shingles?
I believe so.
You're talking about those 3-dimensional looking things? Is that-
Yeah, I have a picture of it. Looks like it's just currently been remodeled, because I know they're doing the deck and stuff on the back and everything that's kind of new on it.
But that one.
Who did that?
The bank did it.
Highlands Union,
Mhm.
that back side of it was falling apart.
Did it about 10 years ago.
And that's the back of it. That's,
I'm having a hard time with those pictures. Their shingles are different from the ones you
They
have.
are.
And what
These are
are
just
the
a-
difference? I mean, I thought you meant like the.
they're
ones
just
that-
nicer than what these are, if that was something I went with.
architect shingles, it says some wide, and they just kind of meet, almost like a cedar shaped look.
Yeah,
they
It's
just
have the
an
different-
asphalt shingle.
I thought you meant they were like the ones you see on houses that have like,
And like this house
they,
has that metal?
yeah, that's fine.
What kind of metal was that?
That's a standing seam roof.
Okay, with the ice breaks.
Yes.
Flat panel, standing
Yeah.
seam.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yeah, this
Correct.
Flat panel standing
The
seam.
panels that are in the seams have to be totally flat.
Okay.
You can't do striations or ribs or anything.
You know you're gonna
We've
get
had a
email
big
tonight.
meeting over that.
Okay, because then it was another house down the street that had something totally different than that.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to make sure, and like that house right there doesn't have vinyl windows in it. I wanna make sure that's wood, because that's in front of my house.
Is that on
And it's
back?
the 3/1, no, that's the, on the side. That's the side, but the front of it looks the same.
I can't tell.
That's the side of the house?
Like if I'm standing on the front porch of this, I look to the left and it's right there, across the street.
The shingles say right here.
It just looked like it was vinyl, so,
It does look like
It says that
yeah.
it must be
I just thought
appropriate
I
for
can buy
craftsmen.
3 over 1
bungalow period
vinyl,
buildings.
cheaper than
Yeah.
$1,000
What she's
each
looking
window
is
for
maybe
wood.
going with something different. She thought she had to go back with the shingles instead of standing seam or anything.
I mean, it looks like vinyl to me.
I mean, are we
So why
still on the
could they have
shingles or
one
we
of
gonna
them?
do?
I mean, I'm not arguing or anything, I just have a question. You know, when you're standing out there at 9 o'clock in the morning
really,
and you're just,
you know, we are a rotating board, and so we're not always here all the same time, so none of us, I mean, I don't know if that was brought before the board, I don't know if it was approved.
Some people
I don't
stick
know.
them in and they don't
People
say
do
anything.
things, and, I mean, if.
so I can stick them in.
When we become.
Well, then we come after you because we
I mean, we can meet, we can have.
Please
we can
don't.
meet
Yeah,
after.
please don't do that. When we become aware of it, we go out and make people change it, and, you know, we could go out and, I mean, I don't know what happened there, I don't know, what would happen if that's the case and someone complains, then we would go look and see, then we have to go back and look and see.
I don't want you to go out there and look at this house and make them change their
I mean,
windows.
we do that, and we do that in the past, but, I mean, there are things in the historic district that are non-compliant, and they have occurred either because somebody came in and got a certificate of approval and did something different, or they just did something and nobody realized they did it, or something happened. I mean, that's out there, and there are things that don't comply. I mean, what we try to do is everyone that comes before us, we try to make them comply, and if there's we become aware of it or we see it, we try to enforce the rules. But there are things out there that don't comply with our guidelines, and we would have to go back on a case-by-case basis and figure out what happened and how that happened. And the reason we were laughing about the standing seam thing is because we just had that issue come up. We had approved the standing seam roof, and the roof that went up is arguably a standing seam roof, but it has striations. It has marks down the flat surface. And, you know, we can't tell from our minutes whether we talked about that or not, and so we approved a standing seam roof, but it's not really what we would have approved. So there are things like that out there, and it's our job to try to keep that from happening, but we can't tell you that every building in the historic district strictly complies with everything that we're tasked with keeping in place.
And one of the
Okay, I
things,
understand, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
well, it's just like
It's a
on
fair
that roof.
question.
Yeah, that roof, the roof that was installed was technically a standing seam roof. However, it was not appropriate for the time period. A standing seam roof back in that time period was a flat panel with the ridges.
Right.
Okay. As technology has progressed,
Mm-hmm.
metal's gotten thinner. In order to add strength, you'll add the striations in between.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cost savings. Technically, it's a standing seam roof, but it is not appropriate for the time period of that structure. So that was our fault. Not gonna make that mistake again. So
Can you make that mistake on shutters?
Well, no.
Shutters have to be red.
And so
Okay.
we may have approved an asphalt shingle roof for that building, and then they may have put up something that's an asphalt shingle roof, but slightly different than what we were thinking. We'd have to go back and look and see, did
Right.
did we specify?
Just kind of
that?
generic and.
Well, and
Another thing
that's-
that we're dealing with is, in the industry, innovations keep occurring to where,
Right.
when we approve something, that's why we're trying to insist on samples for everything, because when we say one thing, somebody could be thinking something else, and then it's not clear, so it's kind of an ongoing issue to deal with.
Right, okay.
Do you
So-
want us to take any action on the shingles, or?
Do you want to, or is that gonna be, I don't know the cost of one of those, that kind of metal.
That standing
is it
seam is
like-
about 3/4 higher than a normal roof. You could almost double it, it's about 3/4 more. If it's 8,000, it's gonna cost you about an extra 5 to go with the standing seam. What an $8,000 roof would have cost you, you'll be paying 13.
I mean, I guess the bottom line is, we would approve either the shingles or the standing seam, have a sample of your standing seam to make sure we're all on the same page about what that is, but that wouldn't be any problem getting that approved.
What are you wanting?
Okay. Well, we were just kind of throwing it around, but,
We'll get some estimates
Do
from
you
somebody
want-
to,
You want to
I mean,
approve the shingles tonight?
So if you decide to go with that, you can.
But if you change, so
yeah, if we have to,
we can approve it, and
go
then
with
if
that.
we change our
Yeah,
mind,
Sure.
Yeah, it'd be great.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
we
great.
at least get that part.
I don't have to approve the color, right? It's either one or the other.
Oh, yeah, either of those
Black or
colors.
gray.
Okay,
Dark gray.
black or gray.
If you want to do pink or something,
Yeah.
I need to see it.
Well, you just said approve the shingle, so I might do pink.
Black or, the minutes will specify.
Already wrote it down, black or gray, can't change that.
Well, you just kind of put shadows.
Like she used to have brown and dark green.
We don't, because the guttering's on now.
So we can use that.
It's got guttering on now that's kind of
So we can leave
pulled
what's on
away.
there.
We can repair what we'll repair, and what needs to be, like in some of the pictures that been up and tore up. It'll match the, you know, it's not gonna be the big storm style, but it'll be what you put on a house, I guess. Because you don't have a real long roof, it'll just be the normal size, but it's not gonna be the,
Is it the OG or the?
We're just gonna use what's on it.
Yeah, it's.
I think you can repair what's on it, it's
Repair
just
what's
if you
on it,
replace
and
it.
replace
It's
it.
gotta be,
See, that's the OG,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is not
Yeah.
acceptable, but it's.
it's
there.
not acceptable, but if it's on there, we can use it.
Well, yeah, if you tear it off, you have to go with. Repair.
but there's places that's,
But
On
that
one
can be
side, it's-
repaired.
You can repair what's there.
Okay,
good.
let's just do that.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Paint, windows, doors, landscaping, roofing.
Is there anything else?
Well, I mean, I'm asking. That's it.
What else are you all coming to look at? I don't know.
I mean,
we
everything you
left out
submitted sounds
anything?
good to, I think the only thing that we can approve is whatever you're gonna do on the back porch.
Yeah.
But I mean-
Pea gravel.
Yeah, everything else looks
What
great.
you wanted to speak about.
Let me summarize this and you tell me right or wrong.
Okay,
Repaint the exterior, it's white, Sherwin-Williams, 7006. Your windows and doors, and when I say doors, I mean the front door and your 3 rear doors, are to be repaired by Joel Hart using, repairing what is there. And he's good if he can't repair it. If it's too far gone, then replace with like design, wood material, same design. That goes with the doors as well. If replaced, then wood doors. Your landscaping, the parking lot is brick pavers. You've got pea gravel on your sidewalks plus brick pavers. Samples have been provided here. Garbage can screening is what you stated, which will be just landscaping. And your roofing is your 3-tab shingles, black or gray. Is that okay?
now what did you tell me about if we decided, where we've got that little right of way to Plum Alley? Can we do pea gravel down through there as long as it's secured in something, or, I don't know.
Where's the?
It's on that,
Alleyway, you got
that design I gave
the
you.
little alleyway all the way down to
You
Plum Alley?
saying on
or-
this, like
I think
that,
so. I think he's,
back here?
I don't know if it's in that one or not. But anyways, behind it, it's just a little, we have just like a little
There's a
walkway
walkway.
that we could do down through there to Plum Alley if we wanted.
And this is the big gravel.
And it would be secured in,
Proprietary system.
I'm not for sure what he secures it in.
Yeah, it's long and it goes down and ties it all together. And, I mean, he gets done with it, it's almost like it's,
Walls don't move.
Yeah, no, that's,
he has a
that's permissible.
option he puts on
Okay.
it that
All right.
taps it and.
And the pea gravel is, and the papers are brown.
So it doesn't matter the size, just as long as it's one or the other and they're brown? Okay.
All right,
Guess that's all.
do I need to summarize again?
I think we got it.
Okay, thank you.
I move that we agree, we issue the certificate of appropriateness in accordance with the summary Mr. Johnson just gave us.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mr. Geisler?
Aye.
Mr. Reese?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Oh, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Can we come back with
That
better
property
pictures and
is-
have other people here so they don't think it looks so terrible?
That is,
Thank you so much.
Good luck with that.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, hey,
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
That looked
you.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
I'll be emailing you.
Can't wait to see it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So is there any way that I could come back and still try to get the shutters?
You can find some holes on there or something.
I can find a hole. I can find a hole because I think I looked there this morning and it had holes.
The next item on the agenda is Frost Funeral Home.
He is not here. We've contacted him. Haven't heard anything from him.
Is he talking about,
It's an act after the fact, COA. He's already installed the railing in the parking area. I think maybe there was some confusion there. I went back and checked the minutes, and we did discuss fencing, but it was not approved. It was supposed to come back before the board, and
It complies, doesn't it?
it does comply. It's exactly what's in front of Rain and
okay,
He talked to me about, I mean, obviously I'm his neighbor, but the problem is that he had at the back of the parking lot there, a step off. And people are getting out, were getting out of their cars, and instead of walking to the top of the parking lot and down the sidewalk, they were stepping
off.
up there, and he was concerned someone was going to.
so he's extended this fencing all the way around the parking area?
No, just
No,
on
right
the
there.
front side, just about like 4 lengths of it.
yeah, it's and then
Just
he
what's
has-
shown?
And then he has put in.
Yeah, that's it,
He's
that's all.
put in
fenced
wheel
there.
stops at the parking, in his parking spaces, and then he has buffered it and screened it with shrubs.
With your all's consent, I don't have a concern as long as that is in compliance, which Mr. Giesler has stated it is. I'll entertain a motion to approve the fencing as installed.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Need a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Boswell?
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mr. Giesler?
Aye.
Mr. Neese?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Please, if you would, Mr. Boswell, just tell Mr. Frost to come back to us.
I will.
But, let me get to Mr. Statzer. I think you're next.
You're gonna tear down the Fields penthouse.
Not in this meeting anyway.
Fencing. You're gonna be replacing the existing fencing.
That is what we'd like to do. Jason,
Let me get you, Mr. Spencer.
I was really fortunate to find a picture that goes back and shows a pretty good depiction of what the
Wow.
fencing looked like originally, which is very similar to what's there now.
Wow.
And that's what we want to do right there.
Can you replant those trees too?
They're beautiful. They were.
Yeah, probably not.
Check them out.
Wow.
Look at that color.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So there was an outbuilding.
How many would like to go back to that Abingdon? Like this?
I do notice something that's particularly different about that picture versus what we have now
Get
is
another building?
there is no porch in that picture.
Yeah.
And the shutters are white, which, yeah.
With that porch, I remember when they built it, there was somebody that based that on ghost marks, I guess, or so are we thinking? that-
I remember the ghosting terminology, yes.
So you're thinking that was in fact a ghost? Not that. Huh.
I'm not
So neither
familiar with
picture-
that, so
You wanna expand on that there?
Well, there's a pretty intricate porch on the front of it now. And I don't remember, but when that porch was approved, it was based on someone saying that there was, marks or whatever to indicate the design of the porch on the building still left there where you could see what was there before. And it would appear that wasn't, at least when these pictures were taken, that was not there.
But I'm primarily just interested in putting the fence back, that looks like that.
Are you gonna do the post like that?
Yes, I'd like to do the post like that too.
Spiked, is it spiked?
And it looks like it has some kind of finial on there of some sort.
It, to me, looks like that, no, correct me if I'm wrong, but the picket looks like there's one sticking up and then there's
Okay.
one down and level. I mean, that's.
Every
what-
other one.
Every other one.
They alternate in the top, but the top is blunt. The
Okay.
middle posts are the rounded.
And also, I'm concerned about the wood that we're gonna be using, because we paint, and sometimes there's a long space of time in between paints, our wood starts deteriorating if we don't get good coats of paint and keep that going. And I don't know what the problem's been in the past, but that being said, when the weather gets to it, then that's when we have problems.
What we would like to use in the replacement fence is a treated wood product. It's going to be decay resistant. And it is going to be painted white. And we probably will lean more toward a stain white, not a,
Whitewash.
yeah, something that would not be so, that you couldn't see the grain in the wood. It would not be opaque.
When you're saying treated wood, you're saying the treated wood that's been damp before, is that what we're talking about, or another kind of wood, the treatment?
Treated wood, decay resistant.
Okay, decay,
Pressure treated.
pressure treated.
So are you thinking there, it looks like there's very little space between each picket there, is that? or is
I
that-
would,
Do you think that's just the picture looks that way, or?
Do we have a picture
we
of
have
what's there
another
now?
picture, and
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't.
I think it's just the distortion of the
Gotcha.
picture, it's so old. But that's, I think it's a little bit
I
better
gotcha.
presentation.
Yeah.
of what it looks like.
Okay.
The spacing would be similar, but it would not exceed 4 inches.
Right.
Actually, it'd be probably a little bit less than that. And the fence that's there now, it has the same design, the taller picket with the shorter picket too.
Okay. And the height on the fencing?
The one that's there now is, the taller picket is approximately 38 inches. So we would probably stay around that height.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just want to bring this to the board's attention, and I'm not trying to be hard to get along with, but I know about wood. I used to do signs for years, and I was always under the impression that you wouldn't want to paint pressure-treated wood because of the treatment that it does sustain. That it gets wet. So when it gets wet, and after you paint, this is where you have the problem in signs. If you don't, like signposts and all, you've seen a lot of peeling. So this is why I was concerned about the wood, what kind of wood we're using, so that we don't get that peeling to start off with. If we're going, because it's more expensive if we're going to have to do it, and then several years down the road we've got decay. Well, because you run a vicious cycle. When you paint, it's going to start peeling. That's because you've got moisture. Does that make sense in that treatment? I mean, I don't want to make a big issue out of this at all. I love what y'all are doing here. You're getting ready to do this, and I'm not trying to put a monkey wrench in anything, but I just want somebody to study over this wood, look at this wood, and make sure we're putting the right wood up.
Isn't there a process for letting it age some before it's painted or
I think there is, yeah.
whitewashed?
Yeah, but here it says, should you paint pressure-treated wood project, we often get asked for painting recommendations for pressure-treated wood. Our recommendation is short and simple, don't. And so, but I get that. But I'd like to do a little bit more. I don't want to hold this project up at all, but if we could, I mean, what does the board want to
Do
do?
you, it's a white picket fence right now, right?
It is,
And
and
is
it is a treated wood product that's there now.
I'm all for saving preservation, believe me. I just want to make sure that we don't have to get into an expense and then we get in this vicious painting cycle and it
No, I
goes
mean,
from, you know.
I certainly understand, but again, I don't want to get outside of really what we're tasked with.
Okay.
And as far as, you know, what the guidelines say is, you know, fencing shall be wood pickets. You know, and no, I mean, I understand your point, and I think that is a valid point, but, you know, as long as the fencing is of, you know, wood, pressure-treated wood, although the guidelines don't even say pressure-treated, it just says wood, replacing what is there doesn't exceed the specified height, you're in compliance with the guidelines.
I think to address Ms. Patterson's concerns, in general terms, and I'm aware of, there's a time period after you use a pressure treated wood product outside that you let it dry to ideally accept the paint and better than it would when it was first installed. And that time frame is, I'm not aware of that particular time frame that would, you know, would be best for that, whether it would be a month, 2 months, a year. So that part, you know, I'm not too sure about. I would like to put the fence in place as a painted product, which would incorporate, when we accept our pricing for this particular fence and this particular design, I would ask be installed in place painted so that they're not having to go all the way back around in that painting process, which can be problematic in itself. I do understand your concerns, and I would like to offer you some substantial good feeling about it, but there's some things there that I can't.
Where is the materials stored, for example? You're gonna get it in and it's unpainted, you're gonna paint it. Where do you do that work?
We're probably going to bid this work out. We're talking with fencing companies right now,
Okay.
but we wanted to bring this to your attention, or we wanted to discuss this with you and look at where we're going and what we're doing and approve the design so that when we go back to the fencing companies, we can specify what we want, because we have to get similar quotes from each one. So we got to give them similar criteria for pricing it.
And again, this is beyond what we do, but when I redid the porch on our house, I understood from, I guess Rick Humphries mentioned it, and also the contractor, that there's some really heavily rot resistant types of wood now build things out of.
The red grandis?
Yes.
Cedar,
Mhm.
cedar in itself.
Yeah,
So I don't know,
that's-
you might could do something in that regard. You don't have to use pressure treated wood, you could use a type of wood that's gonna be rot resistant to where you wouldn't have the paint issue that you.
Yeah, cedar is that.
Can I read this real quick? And because I'll just tell you. So you don't care what we say, and you want to paint your pressure treated wood project anyway. And I'm not saying that directly to you. I'm reading this right off this. That's fine. That's fine. Start with an outdoor primer sealer and make sure the wood is dry. If you just bought the wood, wait at least 60 days. Don't let it lie about loose or it will warp. Pour a little bit of water on the surface of the boards. If the water beads, it's not dry enough. If the water soaks in, it's ready. And that's from the good old internet. So if that helps you guys, I just want to be a help, okay? That's all. I'm not being, you are an expert, sir. I really appreciate that. So.
It is on both points with the other types of wood, yes. And that is something we probably, we could discuss that with who we get our bids from.
Yeah.
And to that point, the bids will come to us, and we can look at how they handle their material. If this material is warehoused, so it's been inside for a period of time, it's already reached that
60 days.
that's 60 days, so they can apply the paint there, and we're still, or actually, I really would like to use a stain product because it's more penetrating than like a conventional paint.
Thank you for letting me explain all
No,
that.
I mean, that's,
No, it's good.
those are good points.
60 days is, and it's not a term, it's a time frame, as I mentioned, that I have not heard of, but it's certainly one I can.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm excited. Let's get it done.
Storm cellar.
Hmm.
This is what we have now, and it's, the problem we're having is it's just so weathered. It's on the south side of the house, so you have a horizontal surface, not completely horizontal, but it's a relatively flat surface with a lot of southern exposure. So it just takes a lot of weather. We would like to, just for durability and, you know, maintenance needs going forward, we would like to replace it with a metal roof, not that type right there. What we would like to do, as I mentioned in the application, is match it to the roof that's on the field spin now, which is a standing seam, a flat panel,
Flat panel.
standing seam.
No
metal.
striations.
Yeah, no striations.
I would have liked to had a sample panel for you tonight, but I don't. But I just wanted to, we used that picture because we've done it at another location, and that's the general concept that we're,
What color?
it'll be black, just like the roof that's on there now.
All right, replace the fencing with treated fencing and post, repaint, white. The fencing is not to exceed 42 inches. And then the cellar cover, replace the existing wood with a standing seam, black, no striations.
Maybe we should add this, maybe instead of just pressure and/or, what was the name of that wood that you just mentioned, Mr. Giesler?
I didn't see her.
Oh,
Okay.
no, that Mr. Humphries recommended.
And
It's red
instead-
Brandis.
Ray Grandis, yeah.
Instead of using a
And/or.
specific species, can we use the term a naturally decay resistant wood? That's one species,
I
but
think
there's
all we
others.
specify is wood.
That's, I mean, all the guidelines specify
Right.
is wood.
Okay, well, then we could just leave it generic then and say wood.
Yeah.
But we will look at a product that has an actual, it's such as cedar, a western red cedar is.
Yeah, Western red cedar's pretty disease
Resistant.
resistant.
It is. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion, and a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Baldwin?
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mr. Giesler?
Aye.
Mr. Neese?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Very good. I've done something with the agenda. Someone have a copy? Okay. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is application for tax abatement. Mr. William James Dayton, is staff representing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Dayton contacted me. His COA was approved April 2017. He went through the process. He called me last week, the week before last, and said that he had noticed that the tax credit was not applied. and he questioned why. I have no idea why. It was in April before I had taken over. So I told Mr. Dayton that I would be happy to present this for him today. The work was performed. He has submitted receipts. I provided that. And the cost came to $9,204.
Okay. This appears to be in compliance with the tax abatement guidelines. The COA was obtained. Receipts have been verified by staff. I'll entertain a motion to approve this and then forward it on to Mr. Kelly for his consideration and then approval, should he deem so, to the treasurer.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mr. Geisler?
Aye.
Mr. Neese?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. The only old business that we had was relative to the proposed ordinance. There's some things that came up in between our meetings. Long story short, a new draft of the ordinance has been provided this evening. What I would ask is that the committee take a look at that in between now and the next meeting.
Ms. Patterson, do you have a copy of that?
I'm sure I do not. Oh, I do now, thank you.
The ordinance you got, if memory serves correct, is broken down to where you've got the old. And then the new begins on page 4. All of the red lettering is inserted language. I would ask the committee to take a look at that, review it and make some notes, and then we'll discuss it at the May meeting.
Would you like me to explain we've got all these changes?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we actually had 2 reasons, and it turned out to be only one, that we wanted to tweak the ordinance, and that was to make it official that instead of Board of Architectural Review, that you were the HPRB with Mayo, however you want to say it. Kimberly added that one today. The second thing was, there was some question about between Planning Commission and this board, whether you wanted to make it mandatory to have the council member. And that one was couldn't be greatly agreed or disagreed upon. And then we learned that it wasn't even in the HPRB ordinance anyway. So it worked out that that's not even a problem. So we do repair the name of your group instantly, and that's in 8.6. And as usual, we insert everything in red that would be additional language. If we remove something from the ordinance, it's black line, so that you know whether it's taken out. So on page 4 through whatever we have here, I think we have 7 or 8 pages, or 9. And if you can familiarize yourself with those, I think there's one place that we do say bylaws. That's in 8.6.7, so I've already indicated to remove that. These are not bylaws. This would actually be in part of our code, so that it does make an official difference. See what you think. We will discuss it next time, and if you'd like a change in any of that language, just keep in mind that what's black is what you've been living with, and anything red is new.
Can I ask a question on, you just mentioned 8.6.7, that you were gonna take that out? Did you indicate that here? If you did,
I did, not in yours, I did on mine.
Oh,
I just
okay.
noticed it after we came down here.
So the whole 8.6.7?
No, just the indication that that I called it bylaws. in addition to any other duties specified, hearing.
It's actually in the
or-
ordinance, not the bylaws.
Yes. Or you could, in some way, we will have it applied to this document.
Now, it's also, is the provision relative to a member sitting on the committee?
No,
mandatory? Is
that was
inserted
not,
in here?
that was not a part of the code itself. So I'm not real sure where that came from. But I'd
I think it's
always,
a good idea. I mean, the only comments that have been made in the past, I think it's a good idea as far as a liaison back and forth from this committee to town council. One of the points that's been raised in the past had to do with possibly being an ex officio,
right,
a non-voting, something of that nature.
but that leaves you with a body of
That
four.
leaves, correct. So, you all, if you would, take a look at that, make any notes and suggestions, and then we'll discuss it at the May meeting.
Sounds good to me.
With that in mind, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yeah. That we adjourn?
Second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second from Mr. Boswell.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mr. Geisler?
Aye.
Mr. Neese?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Did you have something?
Yeah, that's why I kinda got stumbled there.
We're
over now. We're good. We're good. We're done.
I was just 2 minutes late today. I don't think that I'll be absent.
Tomorrow
will
is
I?
the first one.
What?
Tomorrow at Munchkins Park at noon.
Okay, so